Hi guys, very quick video today, and because you've already got a lot of work to do, if you'll notice on sector, I have put some PowerPoints for you to look at and a little bit of reading for you. Let me show you what they are, and before I get started with this. Now the first one is there's a reading. It's a PowerPoint, but it's a nice simple PowerPoint on volcanic eruptions. So volcanic eruptions. Just read it. The reason I want you to read it is because it should just give you a little bit of extra information, and it'll hear the same thing that we've been talking about in every lesson: viscosity and interactions with water and gas and types of volcanic events, but it's just said in a slightly different way. Then there is another document, and it's called, oh gosh, can't find it now, and it's called Mount Toba Supervolcano. So please read it. It's about an island in Indonesia called, where there is, in Sumatra in Indonesia, and there is a volcano that erupted about 75,000 years ago, and it was one of the largest volcanic eruptions that we've ever had, certainly within the last 20 million years. There's a lot of information about impact on climate. So we're thinking about the creation of sulfur dioxide, but also we've also got the change of the creation of haze and the cooling of the earth. So please read that. There's some really good information there on, that's the Mount Toba supervolcano. There is another bit of reading, and it's how volcanoes affect world climate. And this is a Word document. There's a lot of reading to do there. It's a bit wordy, but it's good. Okay. Yeah, it's actually very good. It says the same things as here, but again, just read it. It won't hurt to do that little bit of reading, and it won't take you very long to read it all. And the last little bit of work is it's a little document, and it's the benefits of volcanic activity. So it's just a bit of a reminder from work from our last lesson, and it's really about agriculture. Okay, it's not all bad. All right, so that's some reading for you to do, and that's on sector. I spell it right. I've also given you a little activity, and when I say little activity, it's an 8-minute reading activity, and it's on Education Perfect. And then there is a test, 13 question tests. It's so easy, but I want you to get 100% for it. Okay, please make sure you do quite well. It's just a test of whether you read this little bit here. It's on Kilauea. All right, so that's the reading. Let's go through now the different types of volcanic eruptions and some of the impacts on people. I'll leave that away. So we're on the mitigation volcanic PowerPoint that I sent you yesterday. Volcanic. Let's make this look nice. I hope you can read this. Just looking at it, maybe it's a little bit small. And we're going to start off with lava flows. So, lava flows. Well, lava flows are an absolute nightmare to deal with. In terms of reducing the problem, one of the major ways of reducing the problem is simply to avoid them. Avoidance. And how do we know to avoid them? Well, we use hazard maps. Areas to avoid. So that's the school bell you can hear. These are really popular, these hazard maps are really popular in Hawaii with the eruption of Mount Kilauea. So Mount Kilauea erupted in 2018, and it erupted really, there was a lot of very, very frequent eruptions. Hey guys, sorry about that, I just had to stop the video and restart it again. So where were we? Well, we were talking about Mount Kilauea. Mount Kilauea went through a very difficult time in 2018, probably from about August to December 2018. Mount Kilauea was erupting in many different places, and there were lots of lava flows springing up. What they did was the United States Geological Survey and, well, not only the United States, but also the Smithsonian Institute as well. They would provide updated maps of Mount Kilauea to give to the public so that they knew what areas would be likely to be, I guess, to have a volcanic, a lava flow going through them. So Mount Kilauea 2018, hazard maps were constantly updated to inform the public. And I guess this is where online maps can give us this information in real time. So if you look at the Volcano Hazards program, and then you look at Kilauea, you'll find some information and you'll actually get to see those maps. Those maps, there are maps available right now as of December 2019, and you can actually see some of the latest lava flows. So that's avoidance, and avoidance is the key method of staying or reducing your danger from lava flows. If you live in an area where there's a risk of a lava flow, then you would consult a hazard map to identify areas where lava could flow into, and therefore you avoid that area. There are other methods, and that is changing the direction. So when I say change the direction, I mean change the direction of the flow. Changing where the lava moves to. Is this possible? Oh, it sort of is, but it really isn't. It's not a very easy thing to do. In the early 1900s, there's some great footage on YouTube of them using bombs or barricading lava flows. They did that in Mount Etna. Did it work? No. Did it make a lot of mess? Yes. Saying that, in 1983, they did manage to divert some flows in Mount Etna. They did this by making barriers of rock and ash. They called these sapienza. Cool. There were other examples of diversions of lava, and I guess one of the best examples, and it's one I've already talked to you about, and that is what happened on the island of Heimaey in Iceland. In 1973, a volcano called Mount Eldfell erupted. It was right next to the town of Heimaey. And Heimaey is in the south of Iceland. It's a tiny little village, and it's actually really pretty. And actually, what's really interesting is the town, and I'll draw a picture of it here. I'll draw a picture of what the island looks like. So the island sort of looks a bit like this, like a bit of a fish. There's this sort of wiggly bit, and then it squiggles down to the bottom. Then there's this little bit along the top. See, if you ignore this little line here, that's what it looks like. And Heimaey is a town. Vestmannaeyjar, which is the main town, is right here. Okay, Vestmannaeyjar. A nice, simple Icelandic name. Well, Mount Eldfell is right here. Literally 2 kilometres from the town. It's very, very close. And what happened is a fissure erupted. Now, a fissure, again, please don't look it up, but a fissure erupted in Iceland, and it actually formed this line of volcanic vents, and the volcano that erupted here, and that was Eldfell. Actually, what's really cool is if you ever go to Heimaey. So this little part of Heimaey here is where they have lots of puffins. And it's like a puffin sanctuary. And the people go up there and they hunt puffins. And they hunt puffins with these like sticks, and there's a little net on the end. And they sort of hide down in the clumps of grass, and then when they see the puffins flying over them, they lift the sticks up, and because the puffins only have short wings, they can't dodge the net, and they fly straight into the net, and then they take them and then they eat them. They taste a lot like whale. It's how can I describe the taste? Really, really like rich, like deer almost. Yes, I've eaten them, and yeah, it's a bit weird. But anyway, back to the puffins. Every year, the little puffins hatch, right? And when the puffins hatch, they hatch out of their eggs, and they stay in their nest for a little while. But at certain times of the year, there's a full moon, and the puffins, or the baby puffins, and they're called pufflings. I don't know why I'm telling you this is nothing to do with volcanoes. Anyway, the pufflings fall off the cliffs and fall into the water. And all of the kids of the town run around to this part of the island and pick up the little baby pufflings and carry them back up to their mums. So there you go. Anyway, let's get back to Heimei and what happened here. So you can see how close the island is to the volcano. So 1973, they managed to pump of lava flows. How? They pumped seawater on the flowing lava. This, of course, made the lava slow down and stop. When the lava stopped, due to its thixotropic nature, it solidified. They pumped a lot of seawater. And I'm just trying to find an image. Let's see if I can find one, a picture of it. It's not a great one here, but I don't know if you can see this picture here. But this is a picture of them actually pumping the seawater on the lava flows. And there's a good one here. You can see we've got a lava flow moving between two houses. And yes, literally it would flow between the two houses. And they were just pumping seawater up in and around this area. This is a good image just to show you how close it is. If you just type in Heimei, Iceland, volcano, you'll get these images. So there's the volcano here, and this is the little seaside town. I'll just try and find some other pictures of you. No, that will do there for now. Okay, so it is possible to stop a lava flow, but it's very, very difficult to do. So where's it been done successfully? 1973, Heimei, and 1983, Etna. Okay, let's move through the slideshow and let's get on to the next part, and that's pyroclastic flows. How do you protect yourself from a pyroclastic flow? Well, you don't. There is nothing that you can do to stop, divert, or move a pyroclastic flow. The only thing that can be done is, again, avoidance. And that is through hazard maps. And monitoring of the lava dome. Now, pyroclastic flows only occur in felsic volcanoes where we have a lava dome or lava spires. So monitoring of those lava domes let you know if there's going to be a pyroclastic flow. Is there anything else you can do? Sometimes they've tried to build shelters. And I'm sure you're probably looking at the slide now. We've got a picture of, I guess you can, there's a concrete shelter. It looks a little bit like this. And then we have this dome shaped over the top. And it moves on. Is it going to protect you? Well, will it work? Possibly. Remember, gas is going to not only hit this part, but it's also going to make its way inside as well. So you'll still die of asphyxiation, but I guess you might stand a little bit more of a chance. There's some debate whether they work. In 1918, in Montpellier, Montpellier erupted and sent a pyroclastic flow down to the town. there was only one survivor in this. Sorry, I'm wrong. It's 1902. My apologies for that. This town was 7 kilometres from the volcano, and the town was called Saint Pierre. So, this particular town had a fairly large population, but on May the 6th, the volcano erupted. And sent a pyroclastic flow 7 kilometres into the town, killing 1,500 people. There was one survivor. He was a prisoner, and he was in a tiny little prison, I guess you could say, that looked like this. Had a tiny door, tiny little windows, and he survived because of he was in this concrete prison. He was the only person that survived. He actually made a bit of a living out of it and went around, joined the circus. But again, it's very, very rare that people survive pyroclastic flows. Okay, next one. Lahars. Avoidance and the production of hazard maps. So we think of the Nevado del Ruiz eruption and the failure of a good quality hazard map caused the death of those people. So failure of a hazard map that the general public hazard map that could not read meant many people died. There is, with lahars, a thought that the land can be modified, or modification. So altering the land. The landforms. So by thinking that, we're thinking barricades, or I guess a man-made valley. So barricades or a man-made valley. Warning systems. You might remember that the volcano Nevado del Ruiz was many, many kilometres away, and it was a long way away from the village of Armero where the people died. So there would have actually been a great deal of time between when the volcano erupted and the ash and snow would have melted to when the lahar would have hit. And if perhaps there is an eruption, it could warn people that there is a possible lahar, similar to our tsunami warning systems. So early warning systems to alert people when an eruption might cause a lahar. They have that in place in Japan. And the last one, last way we're actually going to mitigate or reduce the impact is by having an effective response. So, when we say effective response, you're thinking about when a lahar happens, people know exactly what they've got to do. They're trained, people have education, there is infrastructure in place to help them. So machines that might be needed to dig people out, hospitals that are trained and equipped to help the people who are trapped in them. So necessary infrastructure. Cool. All right, over here, let's look at ash. So, I've already talked to you about this, so I'm going to race through it. 1991, a certain volcano in the Philippines, and 300 people died. Why? Ash on the roofs. So, how do we mitigate? How do we slow this problem down? Well, one way is to improve the structure of the buildings. Improve building structure. Again, to improve education. To let people know that if they are in a building that could collapse, maybe to go to a structurally safe zone, or maybe even just to clean off the roof. So people are aware of the dangers. Okay. I guess you could say another issue is aircraft damage. And that is no-fly zones. So no-fly zones around active volcano sites. You might be asking why I never mentioned the volcano Lake Nyos and the gas event, the carbon dioxide, or otherwise known as a limnic event. So there is actually mitigation going on at this particular volcano. So there is a degassing system. Degassing. So what they have is at the top of the volcano, you might have seen an image of this. We have the lake itself. We have the volcano. And they actually pump. They have a system where they send pipes down into the ground. And in those pipes, they send rocks, or they put material down there. Sometimes they sometimes they pump water down to this area. When they do, there's a secondary pipe, which the gas is removed from. It forms this nice big spouty fountain. But what it does is it slowly removes the build-up of CO2. So that eruption doesn't take place. Okay. All right. So that's where we are with volcanoes, and that's the end of that PowerPoint. And really, that's the end of our section on volcanoes. So our next lesson is going to be about earthquakes. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. See you later. Have a great day.